Hello, everybody. Welcome to Weekend Update. Hope you're having a great weekend. And let's review Nasdaq, S&P 500, commodities, crypto, and other stocks. So we can start with Nasdaq weekly chart. This is weekly chart. Each candlestick represents a week of price action, and focus on these two lines, the red line and green line. These are EMA lines. Those who are following my channel, they know exactly this chart. I share every other day in my daily update, and you can see every time price actions in a bull market, which we are in now. This bull market started here October last year, and since then we've been making higher highs, higher lows, and we are in a bull market. Okay, now in a bull market we always go between this green line and red line. We find a bounce from here, and then we again go here and bounce, so we can go higher and we bounce. I will show you what happens. You can see in a bull market, this bull market, take an example, this was started after COVID crash, April 20, to it lasted till January 2022, 2 years. You can see in a bull market we always go maybe higher. A lot of times we go away from this green line. Green line is fast moving average, red line is slow moving average, and then we come back to touch. So basically it's like a car going on a highway empty. We come back to refill the gas and then go again, come back, refill the gas, go again. So we always come between green and red lines to gather some momentum, refill gas, and then bounce. Okay, so you can see every time this happens, and you can see we can even go further away. This is one of the biggest bull market. This started 2016 and lasted till 2018. You can see again, always come back. Worst case, we come and touch red line, but best case, we just touch green line and bounce. Okay, you can see every time. We even go a little bit below, but weekly candle, we always close above that. We get massive bounce every time we go there. All right. So again, you can see what happened here. Here we made a new low compared to previous low, but again we resume the bull market. Okay, you can see every time. So making a new low does not mean that bull market is over. And I just wanted to show you that. And you can see we come very close to previous lows, bounce, previous lows, bounce, previous low, bounce, and you can see same thing now what's happening here. We made a little bit lower low, but we are still above this red line, and that's the worst case, and we are bouncing. All right, so we don't go straight up all the time. You can see weekly chart, we come back here, bounce. Now we are again bouncing, and this is green line, which is my projection. Let's go back to daily chart and let's delete some of these. Let's get another indicator here. This is daily chart, and these are EMA lines. Let me get back to automatic. Yeah, it is automatic. So you can see here where we are finding support on this white line. White line is 20 moving average. You can see we daily chart, we bounced. We did not fill this gap. Let me hide this, and it's very clear that way. You can see this gap. There's a gap here. If I go to 1 hour chart, you can see here there's this gap here around 15,466. Okay, and then there's another gap here around 15,717, and then third gap is here around 15,827. This is a Fitch downgrade gap when US credit rating was reduced by Fitch company. So eventually these gaps will be filled. We just got to be patient. Okay, so this is my green projection. You can see what's going on. Same thing happening right now. I was telling in a daily analysis that we will not go in a straight line. We will expect a pullback, and if you miss this bottom here, because we even have a buy signal here, green line here, we got exactly my indicator told me 4th of October. We have a buy signal, and still it's on a green line. Okay, so we never go in a straight line. You can see even here we get pullback, pullback, pullback. Even when we're going higher, a little bit pullback is very good for the market. Okay, very healthy for the market. We do want to see pullbacks before we go higher. All right. So again, so now we are getting this pullback. These gaps will be filled from here, and on Nasdaq, the top from here, the first gap is around 3% away, second gap is around 5% away, and third gap is around 5.56% away. And my target from here to the end of this year is new all-time high. From here, I'm looking for almost 12% from here. Okay, and also I want to show you something. Let's quickly show you NDX seasonality chart. So if I show you NDX seasonality chart, just so that you guys are aware, you can see here what's happening here. If I zoom in a bit, you can see here from October, we are now mid of October, okay? So this is mid of October here. We got this dip, all right? So this dip is what we are getting right now. And then what happened from October till first week of November, massive rally, okay? So this rally is around, you can see from the scale wise, almost 3%, okay? This is 2%. And then this is one more than 3% rally we can get from here, all right? So just be mindful of that. And we could even, this chart is probably log scale, so I don't think we're going to go new high in October, November, but definitely till end of December we should be able to get a new high. All right, I just wanted to show you that so that you guys are aware. Do not be too bearish. This pullback is expected as per seasonality chart. And yeah, everything is looking good. I'm bringing back my indicators, and these are the levels I'm looking for new all-time highs. All right, on triple Qs, which is the cash index, you can see there's also this trend line. And let me go back and hide. You can see this. There's this trend line. We broke it, and now we are facing this resistance exactly on this trend line. And actually, it's very clear on US 100. You can see this is live futures. It will open at 6 p.m. today, but you can see this downward sloping trend line, this resistance line. Now we found exactly resistance there. Now we are selling off. All right, but that's okay. This is the first touch of resistance. It's not going to go down straight. It's not going to break it straight away. It's going to go down, take some energy. Now it's going to go get ready to bounce. In my opinion, that's the best case scenario. And on triple Qs, the gaps are here, 377, 382, 385, and I'm looking for all these gaps to fill. The good news is there's no gap down until we go all the way back to 332.93. We will go there some point. You see all these green gaps. We'll go there some point. But I think maybe in the next year, not this year. I think we're looking for very, very high probable bounce and a massive bounce from now until end of December. All right. So that's on triple Qs and Nasdaq. On S&P 500, same scenario. Actually, let me hide this because gets very, very busy. Charts. And if I go to 1 hour chart, let's go to regular trading hours so you can see this gap. Okay, one other thing, if you watch my video, on, I think Tuesday, I said end of day, I said I'm not happy that there is a gap here. Okay, this gap you can see on 1 hour chart. What happened on Tuesday, 10th of October, we gapped up and we created a gap, and I left this as a green line, and I told you in my video on Tuesday that I'm not happy that this gap is left. This gap can be filled at some point, and look what they did on Friday. They came and they filled this gap. Okay, so you can see how nicely the gaps are always filled, and you have to keep into account all 1 hour gaps. Okay, so this is like a lesson for you. The reason the market came down is because to fill this gap. Now there's no gap left, so there's no reason for market to go down. There's no gap left down here. There's a gap here all the way down here. Sure, we can go there, but I think it's going to be very unlikely because you're getting this massive pullback, and I think we're ready to fill upper gap first. Okay, so there are gaps on the top, gaps on the bottom, but I think most likely the green projection I have is what I'm looking for, and you can see we're getting a pullback exactly like that, what I was thinking. And now the next challenge is to break this upper resistance. And if Nasdaq, which I showed you, if that happens, I think that most likely we're gonna go to new highs. All right, so anyhow, so this is on SPY. I got rid of that gap, and now you can see bringing back all the moving averages. SPY is finding resistance support on this 10 moving average green line, and this white trend line, it's below that. So I really want this to recover on Monday, and if we recover, I think this gap above gap is around 436.67. this gap will be, I think it's around 438. This gap should be filled. All right, you can see this gap here. Gap down happened on September 21st. Most likely we're going to go fill this gap, and then we're going to go eventually to new all-time high by the end of this year. Okay. Dow Jones, a little bit of weakness here, finding resistance on this 200 EMA and SMA line. And let's go back to 1 hour chart, and you can see this gap also here on Dow Jones was, you can see this gap here. This is also done, so I can delete it. You can see gaps all. Now there's another gap around 344. There was bullish earning from JP Morgan and Citigroup. So banks are reporting good earnings, which is good sign. A good sign that banks are reporting positive earnings. That means market can go higher. All right. And you can see now we are right on the support, facing still resistance breakdown, but that doesn't mean anything. We can still go higher. Now there's another downward sloping resistance, so my projection is we're going to eventually break through, fill this other gap around 344, and then eventually go higher from here. IWM Russell, let's go to 1 hour chart. Same thing here. Let me hide these EMA lines. It's clear that we can see this gap was here, gapped up on basically 10th of October, and then we fill this gap. So I can delete this gap. You can see how nicely gaps are filled. And let's go back to daily chart. Now we are broken below this resistance line. So Russell is looking really, really bearish, which is not a good sign. We really want to go and recover this trend line, this dotted trend line. Until that, Russell is looking very bearish. I'm not sure why it's so bearish. It's lagging behind all of the indices, but this is the time. It's below everything. It's very, very oversold. If I go to 1 hour chart, you can see very, very oversold, and a bounce is likely due. So let's see if it can recover and then eventually go fill some of these gaps. All right. Gold, bullish news. Look at this candle, unbelievable. This is how you break resistance. Okay, this is what my projection was. I was thinking it's gonna break, sell down here, this gap here, which was created after Israel war on 9th of October. I thought this it's gonna break it and then retest, but look what happened. This is the perfect lesson of a breaking a resistance. 3.42. I don't even know. I don't remember when was the last time I saw a bigger candle like this. Okay, so now this resistance became support. So we have to change data as we get new information. We have to update ourselves, right? And now we have new information. All right. So now we have to adjust our graphs a bit. All right. So what our path could be from here? We broke this resistance. It is now another resistance is coming here. So it's possible we can come down, fill this gap, not fill this gap, find support, and then go higher. Okay, this gap will eventually be filled. I just don't know when. Maybe we'll come back at a later stage. But this is a huge candle, huge breakout candle. And if I bring moving averages, this is a really, really bullish. It's above all moving averages in one day. Okay, this is very, very rare, very, very crazy move from gold above all moving averages. Okay, silver must be same. You can see again it broke this resistance, so this resistance became support now. So again, massive move on silver and gold. Now it's finding some resistance on this moving averages, and also there's some this downward stopping trend line. So upwards moving trend line. So I think next thing should be, actually I have to again adjust on silver as well. So this is going to be support now. So it's going to go back. Eventually, I'm looking for this trend line to break. Maybe it will have a little bit resistance, find support, and then go higher. Let's look at gold and gold miners. Newmont mine, 1.68% higher. And you can see all these gaps to the top side. This gap is filled, but it left a gap to the bottom. So we're going to adjust that. So we know that gaps are filled 90% of the time. So eventually this gap will also be filled at some point. So we have to adjust that. So let's make it green, down gap. And gold miners, also this gap is filled. So you can delete this gap. Now there's gap to the downside. So Newmont mine, daily chart, you can see here. Now I was expecting this gap to fill, but it all depends on gold. But it can come and now fill this bottom gap before it can go higher. All these yellow gaps are the gaps to fill to the top side. Gold miners, same thing. I was expecting that, but now gold made really bullish move. Still, it can come back, fill this gap before it goes higher. So that's on gold. Natural gas, 2% down. That's okay. It's a massive move. You can see how oversold it was. So just consolidating. And if I bring back moving averages, you can see here, still above all moving averages. It can still afford to go a little bit down and then bounce. There's a gap here around 4.34. That's our next target from the close here. That gap is almost 28% away. All right. Crude oil, massive pump, and you can see I was finding support. I was looking for support here. It came back to this support box, and you can see my projection. It is already now above all moving averages again. Now crude oil can still go higher. Actually, I'm a bit bearish. I think this move should be like followed by a downwards move. But let's see what happens. All right, this is a bullish move. I think we're going to consolidate here and then eventually go down, but let's see if that happens or not. Dollar index, again, projection is not working out. It's moving higher because of this war. Okay, so but eventually it's a higher low. Is it going to be a higher is this going to be a higher low compared to previous low and then eventually go down? We'll see. Okay, we need to break below this support box, green box, before we can go lower. Bitcoin got a sell signal here on 10th of October. Since then, it's just consolidating. And I told everybody, all my subscribers, now it's finding support on this daily 50 SMA line. It's holding, it's around 26,600. So even if it breaks below that, there is this massive support around 25,000. So let's see if stock market is going to be bullish, which I think it will be. Bitcoin is most likely going to bounce and then eventually go higher and break this resistance. Ethereum, same thing here, looking a bit weak, very, very weak compared to Bitcoin. Now it's going a little bit down on this support line. It's in the support box. Okay, you can see previous supports here, and we made a new low with higher momentum on RSI. So again, it's all going to depend on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is bullish, Ethereum going to follow that. And let's look at commodities, bonds. You can see this downwards sloping trend line. Actually, let's hide this. It made a new low on higher momentum. Looks like bottom is in, and just look to buy all the dips. Wait for this trend line to break, and then this resistance box to break before you buy bond. And Apple. Apple is, let's see, Apple, how it's looking. Apple is finding support, breakout support on this, again, daily 50 SMA line, red line, and yellow line, which is 50 EMA, and then ready for a bounce. Tesla down 3%, back below this trend line, but again, finding support on this 50 SMA line. So again, it's ready to bounce from here. Microsoft, again, bounce up, finding support on all these EMA lines. Google, again, very, very bullish Google compared to everybody else, and finding resistance on this trend line, white trend line, and then finding support here, looking for a bounce. Meta also very, very bullish, finding support on this 10. Whenever price goes way above this 10 moving average, it's just come back to consolidate. So I think it's just getting ready before a new bounce. Amazon a little bit weaker, finding resistance on this 50 SMA line, but look at all these gaps to fill, so looking for a bounce. Netflix is the weakest, and there's a there's a gap here around 341. It looks to me more like Netflix wants to fill this gap. It's almost 3.8% away. So the earnings is also coming up 18th of October next week. So maybe if we are here by earnings, that's a good time to buy. Actually, let's look at Tesla earnings. It's coming, same thing. Wednesday, Tesla is also reporting end of day. Apple is reporting in November. Microsoft is reporting October. I'm just quickly checking. October, Google. Meta is reporting also in October. Amazon is reporting in October as well. All right, just checking that. Snowflake's also finding support on this moving averages, now getting ready for a bounce from here. So things are looking okay. They are not as bad as people might think. NVDA also finding support on this 50 SMA line. AMD a bit bearish, but finding support in this 20 moving average. So from here also AMD can bounce. All right. Hang Seng Index, again, if I hide these lines, you can see there was a gap here, and now it came very close to filling this gap. Actually, let's go to 1 hour chart. Where did I find? You can see this gap here still not filled. This gap happened on Monday, 9th of October, still coming green line, still did not fill this gap. So wait for this gap to fill. Also this downward trend line coming back could be a back test and fill up this gap before we go higher. All right, quickly look at commodities. Copper is in the support box, looking to bounce. Palladium finding resistance, so really want palladium to go above this resistance box around 1195. If it can, that's going to be a bullish move. Wheat, good bounce on wheat, 1.33%. So looks like a bottom formation, bullish falling wedge, and looking for a bottom very, very soon on wheat. Above this, first time it's above this 20 red white line, which is good sign. And it can, yeah, you can see last time it happened, it can bounce very massively. Corn also trying to form a bottom, finding support on these all moving averages, consolidating, getting ready to bounce. Soya beans also near support line, looking to bounce. Sugar looking for it's above all moving averages, but I really wish sugar can come back on the support line and then bounce, but we'll see. Sectors XLK again on this support, right on this support, like you can see projection. This is like Apple looking for a bounce. XLE energy sector, massive bounce here already happening. So above all moving averages. So now I guess I need to adjust this because there are some gaps which are left to the downside. If I go to 1 hour chart, if I hide these EMA lines, let's quickly look at these gaps. So this gap, I have to delete this because there is this gap left. So I have to adjust this gap on health on energy sector. If I go to daily chart, so it looks like we could oil could come back, fill this gap before it can go higher. XLV healthcare on this trend line, so nothing changed, looking nice. XLU finding some resistance, maybe it will make a higher low and then go higher. XLI industrial looking for actually I have to adjust this now, so looking for this to form bottom very very soon, and then like Dow Jones looking for a massive move up. Real estate sector bouncing, still this gap is not filled around $34, so looking for that gap to fill before it can go higher. And financials, this gap is full. If I go to 1 hour chart, you can see you can delete this. There are no gaps here now. And if I go to daily chart, you can see this massive gap around 34.49. There's also a gap here, $32. So it could go, it's in the middle. It can go here and fill this gap and then bounce. So just be aware of that. KRE Regional Bank ETF. Again, just making a higher low before we go higher. All right. And that's about it, guys. Let's quickly look at VIX before we go. VIX massive move up, 15% higher. You can see cycle high is coming here around 24th of October, and then eventually it can consolidate and eventually it's going to go lower. That's what my projection is. The good news, it fell below $20. $20 VIX below 20 is always bullish. From here, if VIX can crush, that's going to be very bullish for the entire stock market. And let's quickly look at zones, very short term. By the way, guys, if you like this channel, please hit the subscribe button, share with your friends and family. Really appreciate all your help. And yeah, and also if you want to know daily updates, I send pre-market video updates to my subscribers, and the subscription is very very cheap. It's like $6 a month, and you can, there's also a Discord group in the description of this channel. You can subscribe, you can join Discord server, and you can chat with me directly, and that will be very very helpful for you. So I'll show you an example what happened on the Nasdaq 100 on Friday. You can see we came to buy zone around 1:40 p.m. and we ended up in a buy zone. So you want to buy in a buy zone, you want to sell in a sell zone. You can see we were in a sell zone for a while. I told everybody to sell here. Now we're in a buy zone and we buy in a buy zone. Okay, this is end of day Friday was a perfect time to buy. We are still in a buy zone. US 500, same thing. We are in a buy zone, guys. So this is where you want to buy. You don't want to be bearish here. You don't want to be shorting here. You want to buy in the buy zone. So expecting a massive bounce as soon as Monday. Dow Jones is in the middle, so it's neutral zone. And Russell, you can see Russell is also very, very oversold. So looking for a bounce in all indices across the board, and that's what you should be targeting. This is not the time to short, this is the time to buy. If you have profits, take profits. And that's it. Okay, guys, have a good rest of the weekend, and on your way out, please hit the like button. Take care. Bye.